Hey everybody, this is Lee here, back with something a little different. I'm not sure how this is gonna go, to be honest. It was a suggestion by a friend. They were like, oh, since you got this new awesome setup, why not, tell a story? So I'm like, why not? So this is gonna be me telling a story of my last relationship and how it ended. I don't know why I chose this story. I guess because it's fresh on my mind. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. And I'm just gonna tell the story over some gameplay and some music, cause why not, right? Alright, so breakup story. Well, before the breakup, there had to be some good relationship. And this relationship was pretty good. It was a 3-year relationship, well, almost 3-year. You can call it 2.5 years, a bit over that. And it was with this girl who was Arabic and Hawaiian. Let's call the girl Brittany, right? So Brittany, we had met. Well, I had went to visit my sister. My sister lives in North Dakota. And so I visited my sister, and I was bored one day because it was for the entire summer that I had visited my sister, and I decided to download the Hot or Not app, right? And I casually going through it, getting ratings, feel good about myself and whatnot. And there was this one girl, Brittany, who messaged, who we ended up talking. And it was decent, right? And I had later found out that it was Brittany's best friend that matched, because apparently they swiped right or whatever on everybody. And anyways, so yeah, after this trip, and Brittany lives in Iowa as well. So after this North Dakota trip, I went back to Georgia, hometown, where we continued talking and such. It wasn't like I was trying to be with her. It was more so friendly, a little bit of flirting here and there, and then eventually it got to something bigger, quote unquote, this relationship. So we had met up in person, and it was great. It was a pretty good weekend to remember, actually. And relationship went through, it went through normal, like a normal relationship had their problems and stuff like that. So for the first year of the relationship, it was I felt as if I was the person that was supporting her through her problems, because I feel as if she had a lot on her plate, and I was I was fine at the time, and I was there for her and stuff like that, and able to give her comfort in her time of need and stuff like that. Ooh, text message. And that was the entire first year. A lot of third party negative effects on the relationship, other people and stuff like that, but we got through it. It was fine. The second year of the relationship, it was normal, a normal relationship. Had her ups and downs. This is what I would consider what a normal relationship would be. You have your differences, you sort them out and whatnot. In the third year, that's where things started that I could see it starting to go downhill. So from January to May, right? It was fine. We were relatively busy with our lives, but it was you could tell something was wrong, but it wasn't anything to mention. Just continue trying to do your best in the relationship, because I feel as if it was masked as a normal issue. And so come May, this was the beginning of summer, we had a massive argument, and neither of us can remember what this argument was about. During the summer I had asked her, what did we have this argument in May about? And she doesn't remember. I definitely don't remember. I'm not sure about her. Maybe she just doesn't want to bring it up again. Girls can be girls. Well, people can be people, I should say. And so after that argument, during the entire summer, the conversations were short. It wasn't so much one-word answers, but I could definitely recognize that there was something wrong. And this is probably where I fell short, because I didn't, try to push to figure out what was wrong. It was more so like, okay, something is wrong. I'm kind of busy. Like, I hope it works out. I'll try to talk to her every now and then. And hopefully it comes up in conversation. We can work this out. That didn't happen. It just continued to, be low-key dry. I don't want to say just dry as heck, but it was low-key dry. So yeah, that was the entire summer. So in August, when I started school, like a week after I started, I was like, okay, like, it's time to get to the bottom of this. Like, what's the issue? Like, what's wrong? And I had confronted her about it. And I don't remember exactly what she had said, but it was something to the effect of that she's tired of trying to impress me, and that I can be mean sometimes, that I can be a jerk, and that I was a hard person to please, which is extremely true. One thing to note about me is that I'm an extremely tolerating person. Like, I'll tolerate a lot, but of course everyone has their limit to where, they'll just snap. And I don't necessarily snap. Well, I guess I can snap, but my limit is extremely high, and if I'm giving you warnings that you're approaching that limit and you don't take the warnings, and I end up snapping on you, like, and I guess I snap pretty hard because I can make someone feel like the worst person ever, with words, because words are powerful. But nonetheless, I was like, okay, this is true. I recognize this. I'll try to work on it. This is something I'll work on, and such and such. After that, and she was like, okay, fine, like, whatever, it's good. And after that, it was still dry. Like, there were like times, like once or twice throughout the day, where it's like, okay, this is a legit conversation, but it was still, low-key dry. And I continued to ignore it because I was like, okay, and I know what the issue is. I know what we need to work on, stuff and such and such. And it got to the point where she was saying, like, using informal language to me. So when I'm dating someone, like, I don't mind doing it with friends, because, friends are friends. It's a different relationship. But when I'm dating someone, especially someone that's supposed to be your other half, I expect a serious conversation to be formal, right? And not saying stuff like, nah, fam, or it's Gucci, fam, it is what it is, or aight. All these things, I'm like, okay, are you not taking the conversation seriously? It's kind of disrespectful. Like, come on, like. And I guess that comes back to me being a hard person to please as well, but nonetheless, it's who I am, right? So I confronted her about this, and I got upset, so I started doing it as well. I started using the informal language. It didn't phase her. I expected her to upset her, but it did not. It did not. So I was like, whatever, man. It is what it is. And then there was another conversation we had where we ended up saying, and this was in September, where we ended up saying, okay, we have until the end of the month to determine if you want to be with me or not. And that's what I told her. And she was like, okay, fine, yeah, by the end of the month, I'll decide if I want to be with you or not. And so at this point, I was like, okay, life is rough. It sucks, like, but, we are pretty strong. We can get through this. We've gotten through lots of stuff in the past, right? Okay, so fast forward a week or so. Like I said, this is still in September. Or the second week in September. Close to the end of the second week, beginning of the third, I'd say. I had said, I had sent her a picture through text message saying, like, just a picture of myself looking fly and whatnot. I think I was just going to class. It was just a sweater or something I was wearing. And and she gave me a compliment, and I said something to the effect of, "Thanks, love, you know, something intimate, something nice." And she said, "No problem." This, you could consider this picky of me to say or do, but I said to her, typically when someone says no problem, it's about something that they would typically have a problem doing, like, you know, taking a pen off the floor, you know, to go through the effort of bending down. So it just seemed as if she had to go through the effort of giving me a compliment or whatever like that. And so an argument stemmed from that, and I had ended up saying, honestly, I think we should separate. And she just said, okay. I was like, what do you mean okay? Well, I didn't tell her what do you mean okay, but this was my reaction because I was not expecting that. I was just, you know, saying stuff like, what? So at this point it made me seem as if she was looking for a way out of the relationship, and I was like, it kind of threw me off guard, you know. So yeah, she said okay. That text or that conversation ended on a good note, I would say. Ended on something like, oh, let's be friends, we'll like be there for each other if we need each other and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I wasn't necessarily hurt by it. I mean, I was down, but I wasn't like crying and sobbing like, oh no, we broke up, blah, blah, blah. Because in the back of my mind I was like, okay, yeah, there's a possibility that we will end up being back together. So it didn't faze me. I just carried on my day. I was like, okay, yeah, we're having issues, we're separated right now, like it's gonna happen, where we go back together. And there are times where we were like, Lee, I miss you, or she was like, Lee, I miss you, or I was like, Brittany, like I love you so much, like you're my everything, this and that, and that happened a few times. So it made me feel like, wow, like this is like, we can work this, like we can work through this or whatever. There was one time where I was in my feels. I was feeling pretty down that day. It was probably a cloudy day or something. And I was like, Brittany, like I'm so much in love with you. And she had said something like, okay, like she didn't say it back. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what's happening? So I ended up like asking her like if she would have wanted to be with me still. And I had ended up asking her this before, and she was like, yeah, but we have issues and stuff like that. And this time when I asked her, she said, honestly, not sure if I want to be with you. So I was like, what? Okay, interesting. And she had said she went on vacation or something like that, and she was with family. So at this point I was like, okay, she is feeling as if she doesn't know she wants to be with me. The next thing is that she's not gonna want to be with me. And I let her know that I was pretty hurt by it. I was like, oh, that feels bad. And that was the end of that conversation. She wasn't really, I didn't think she was fazed by it or anything like that. And you know, life went on a little bit. So close to the end of September, right? Yeah, close to the end of September, I got a text from a guy saying, hey, I've been dating Brittany for the last 5 months. I've been seeing some strange stuff on her phone and stuff like that. So I was like, what? I was like, wow, this just got interesting, right? So I ended up calling the guy, and you know, I was a bit skeptical, so I looked up his phone number on social media and stuff like that, and it came out legit. We can call the guy John. So I called John, and I had explained to him that I've been dating Brittany for the past 3 years, like almost 3 years, and their relationship have been, you know, pretty good, and stuff like that. And he apparently didn't know about it. I think, if anything, if he knew anything, it would have been that he thought me and her were just friends, and she would text me every now and then or whatever. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. So he lives close to her. So he said in a bit he's gonna go ahead and talk to her, see what's up, like get some answers, you know. I was like, all right, man, whatever, it is what it is. And after that phone call, I was like, wow, this is extremely shocking. That would explain a lot too, because 5 months ago was in May when, you know, the conversation started getting low-key dry. So an hour later, I got a phone call from John with Brittany on the line. It was both of them on the using like his phone or something, and you know, they called me, and I had talked to Brittany, and she was saying, I don't know if her voice was apologetic. It didn't seem as if it was apologetic, but I ended up asking her like why she would cheat on me and stuff like that, and she says something to the effect of, oh, I was just trying to be happy and whatever. And you know, at that point I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. And I was even more over it when I asked her why she didn't just leave me, and she said she wanted to use me and that it was good company, guys, I swear to you. But at the end of the call, I was like, you know what, like, you decide if you want to stay with her, John. It's up to you. It is what it is. It's whatever. That was the end of the call. Still wasn't crying, because I'm not necessarily a crier. I don't cry about any and everything. I was pretty sad. I was shocked. I was, you know, disappointed about it and stuff like that. And so I was like, whatever, it is what it is. Carried out my day. I skipped going to class one day, so it affected me enough for me to not go to class. But it didn't affect me enough to the point where I was like gonna break down and start crying. But nonetheless, the next day I went to school, and it was a pretty decent day. Still in shock. And I had ended up texting John and asking him if they had decided to stay together, and he said yeah. I was like, okay, whatever, good for you, good luck. He's staying with a cheater. And I ended up asking like if she was a virgin. So once Brittany and I met, we were both virgins, and we were low-key trying to do the no sex till marriage thing, and see, it's it's been working out fine, especially since we don't necessarily live close to each other. So it's been pretty easy, with commitment. You're not gonna just go have sex with some random person. So we were both virgins, and I had asked John if she was a virgin when he met, and he said no. And I was this is where my heart just fell apart, because that would mean that she either lied to me about her being a virgin when we met, or there was another incident earlier in the relationship, right? So I'd asked him what, and he went into further detail, saying how they had met on Tinder, and that it was a month after they met that they were involved sexually, like starting having sex. So at this point, I was heartbroken. I was destroyed. I was distraught. I thought she was a way better girl. I would have never seen that coming. If somebody told me that about her, I would have told them they were lying. I would not have believed it. So yeah, I was pretty distraught by it. And I immediately started trying to text her. I mean, I had already sent the text, but I was still asking him, like, oh, since you did me such a solid of texting me instead of keeping me in the dark, can I text her? And he was like, why would you want to text her, such and such? I was like, I have questions, like, I want to know what happened before. And he was like, he had said something to the effect of, oh, she's blocked you and stuff like that. So I was like, what? And you can call me stalkerish for this or whatever, but I was seeking answers. I had created a fake phone number with the texting app. I think it's called Pinger or something like that. And I had texted her, and I had ended up saying something like, I said, hey, this is Lee, I got some questions, this and that, this and that. And she said something like, don't try to contact me, I'm gonna be with John, and so forth. I was like, what? And so I was like, Brittany, the least you could do is to answer the questions that I have. And she had ended up saying, oh nope, I'm don't try to contact me, with John, this and that, this and that. And so I had just texted the question anyways, and the question that was immediately on my mind was if she had cheated on me before, earlier in the relationship. And the date she gave me was March 2016. March 2016 was 10 months after the relationship started. So not even a year after the relationship, she, was apparently unfaithful. This distraught me even more, to the point where I tried to go see a counselor. The counselor at my school, pretty garbage. I'm not going to get into that. As a matter of fact, I will. I went to the counseling office, which is, pretty far for what it is. And I got there, they had me fill out this 6-page thing that took 30 minutes to fill out. Mind you, I was extremely livid. Like, I was upset, I was angry, I want to talk to somebody now. How do I handle this? And how do I process this? So I filled it out, and then I gave it back to the front desk receptionist, and she told me the next counselor is going to be available in an hour. So I was like, what? And she was like, yeah. So I did try to wait. I waited like 5-10 minutes before I was like, you know what, screw this. And I went back to the receptionist and I said, it's taking too long, cancel the appointment. And I stood there for a good like 10 seconds, and she had ended up looking at me and saying, oh, it's done, you can go. Like, I was like, what? That's that easy to cancel an appointment with a counselor? And I had left there saying to myself, no wonder you have people jumping off of buildings, because earlier in the year there was an individual that had, committed suicide and ended their life by jumping off a building. And I would not have been surprised if that was the treatment that he got when he went to that counseling office. Nonetheless, so I left there even more upset than when I was. So my mother worked nearby, so I went to her counseling. Her counselor. They have a pretty top-notch counselor at her office. I talked to that lady for a good 2 hours, and she had ended up saying, oh, don't let it consume you, this and that, this and that. I was like, you know what, you got a good point. She used the plenty of fish in the sea mentality. Well, she didn't say it exactly like that, but that's where she was getting at, like, oh, you'll find someone better, someone who's worthy of you, etc. And part of me was like, oh, this is BS, she's just telling me this. But another part of me was like, okay, it's whatever it is, it's someone to talk to, it's working, it's calming me down. So after that, I had a lot of questions. Typically the questions were, was the relationship true? Did she actually love me? Why would you waste my time like this? These types of questions. And I couldn't get in contact with her because, I was blocked everywhere. I wasn't down for creating new numbers. That's extremely stalkerish, to, try to text her. And so I was, this is what I struggled with at that point in time. I had questions that was not answered, and questions that were not answered, and it ripped me apart. I've never been in a situation where I had a question and it was not answered, sufficiently. So what I had ended up doing, like, the next couple days or next 3 days after, was I had texted, I got the idea of, if she won't text me, maybe some of her friends will. And so I had texted one of her older best friends, which doesn't necessarily live close to her, but, she still goes and visit her every now and then. And they're, extremely close. This best friend, I didn't have their number. So I had texted someone else that I did have their number for to get this person's number. And I wasn't expecting her to talk to me, but she, surprisingly talked to me. And, the conclusion at the end of that conversation was that she was in the dark as much as I was. She asked her about the virginity thing. She gave and Brittany gave her like a shady answer and stuff like that. So I don't know, it made me feel, it calmed me down knowing that someone that she was so close to was in the dark as much as I was, if not more in the dark. One thing that I had learned from that conversation though was that the guy that she was with, the guy that she's with now, Brittany would normally post pictures of the guy and what he's wearing and send it to the best friend. So the best friend had tell me, oh, she's probably just with him for his money, and probably will end up doing the same thing with him as well. And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty crazy. Valid point. I was like, sucks for John. Brittany is a snake. My thoughts after that conversation was that Brittany was a snake and just, you know, uses people for her fulfillment. And you know, I was able to live with myself after that. Still pretty heartbroken by it. I wasn't crying every day because I felt as if it wasn't, you know, completely my fault. You know, she had definitely fell short as well. So you know, life has been, you know, pretty decent. I stopped trying to search for the other questions that I had answered and just, you know, tried to, you know, focus and stuff like that. Been making new friends, talking to other people, talking to other girls, you know, just to distract myself. And when I say talking to other girls, it's just friendships, you know, just to, you know, talk to people. I just relate more to women. I'm not sure why. Either way, after 4 weeks after this, 3 to 4 weeks after this, I had ended up setting up my old Instagram. I had got it back. I'm not sure how, but it just appeared back on my phone. And so on that Instagram, I'm following one of current best friends. So I ended up messaging this best friend. We can call this best friend Alex, right? So I had messaged Alex, be like, hey Alex, I haven't talked to you in a while. And it's true, I haven't talked to Alex in a while. She was we used to, you know, have casual conversations, but then something happened. That's time for a different story for a different time. I had ended up bringing up if she knew that Brittany and I broke up. And she was like, yeah, of course I do. And I was like, yeah, you know, I can't believe she cheated on me, this and that, and this and that. And Alex had said something about like, you don't trust the people around you, like your friends are fake. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean? And I had ended up asking her, like, what do you know about the breakup? And she was like, I know everything. And I was like, well, tell me everything. And she was like, I can't tell you everything. I'm assuming because it was a lot. And so she had asked me, what do I want to know? So the way I did it was I had explained my understanding of the breakup. You know, cheated on me multiple times with a guy right now, and so forth. Alex told me that was not true, and that the March 2016 thing was made up. And she had asked me, didn't that allow you to move on faster? I was like, how is that going to allow someone to move on faster? It's like you shoot somebody and you tell them, hey, are you gonna heal from that other wound that you had faster? Like, how is this gonna like make them? Anyways, so apparently the way that it went, and I learned all of this from Alex, was that she had told me that there was some friend that I had talked to that had said I was, you know, sleeping with a lot of women, having sex with a lot of women, dating other girls and so forth. And that broke Brittany's heart. That's when Brittany took the decision to start dating this other guy. And that John, the guy that she's with now, they didn't meet on Tinder. It was just some friends she had, and you know, they started hanging out more and more. And then after Brittany had the conversation with that friend, they, you know, she was like, all right, I've had it with Lee, I'm gonna go to John. So there are many things that, you know, bring up a red flag in my mind. Of course, this could be that Alex is, you know, making stuff up, trying to just, I don't know, make me feel bad, or I don't know, she could just be making it up. You know, she definitely doesn't have anything to gain from telling me the truth. I'm not necessarily friends with her. I don't know where she lives or anything like that. Another probability, if the story is true and some friend texted her, or one of my friends, because she said it's one of my friends that goes to school with me, and I don't know anybody that has Brittany's number that would talk negatively about me in this way. I don't have any friends like this. And if I do, and if you're listening, friend, hit me up. We gotta talk. I'm not mad at you. I just want to talk to you. But nonetheless, it could be just some random person that wanted the relationship to end and called Brittany on one of my friends' behalf and just use some random person. So I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to it that much. I mean, it would be kind of nice to know who this person is, if there is a person. But I had asked Alex to try and get some more information about this person for me, and she was unable to. So there's really nothing I can do, and I'm not gonna allow it to, you know, stress me out. But currently, that's what the state of the relationship is. Brittany still doesn't want to talk to me. I've asked Alex to ask her if she'll allow me to talk to her, because, you know, clearly there was some, you know, false information given. And Brittany is still like, no, doesn't want to talk to me. I don't understand why, to be honest. It's kind of hard to go from talking to someone for 3 years, every single day, every single hour of the day, and, you know, go to, you know, not having any contact with them, no idea what they're doing and stuff like that, especially with someone you were involved with intimately. You've shared a lot of conversations and stuff like that, shared a lot of secrets, you shared things that you wouldn't tell anybody else. So that it's pretty fascinating to how it happened, like the course of events. But, you know, it is what it is. There's not much that can be done at this point. I'm just, you know, trying to keep myself distracted, and yeah. So that is the story of my breakup. I guess it does sort of hurt whenever one of my friends try to make fun of me, saying, "Oh, Lee, you are really hard to please," like this and that. It's like, I'm like, damn, like, I guess I'm like never dating anyone because I'm too hard to please. But yeah, I mean, that's the story. I will probably have to edit it because I ended up saying her name multiple times. Either way, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I hope you guys don't have to go through any of this ever in your lifetime. And yeah, if you guys enjoy these stories, I'll continue doing them. Honestly, I just wanted to try it to see you know, if it was loved or not. But yeah, this is the end of the story. I want you guys to have a great rest of your day. Peace.